Well, I got the spare tire for the trailer. Had to buy a wheel. Looks like it matches the style pretty well. Just this one's got red and blue pinstripe around the outside edge. Not a big deal. Same size, but I got to adjust the mount for these. They're a little off. So once I get that set, I will see if I can get the tire on the wheel. And I don't have a valve stem. And they're not balanced. So we'll have to see about that. Actually, I don't even know. Do you balance trailer tires? Maybe you do. Anyway, that's my task. All right, well, fun fact. I used to, in a previous career, be a tire buster. So I think they're wanting $25 to mount tires now, which to me is outrageous. It's not a difficult process. You just got to understand the physics of things and just make it happen. So let me see if I can explain some of how tire mounting works on a wheel, and yeah, we'll see if that helps anybody. So to start off with, I've got it mounted to the trailer, which I think is going to help me because it'll hold it nice and steady. It's a little wobbly, but I think it'll work. So on a wheel, there's this lower bit here that's smaller, and then this is where the tire is going to end up seating. So it actually seats on this part here. So I was thinking I need to remove the sticker, but actually I don't. It's going to seat right up against this this edge here when it's done. So we take this part of the tire, the bead, and I'm going to make sure that it's sitting in this part here. That makes this part of the circumference smaller so that I can get the tire on there. And then once it's on there, we get the bead up here and seated. So I've got to do that to both sides of the tire. And it's been a long time since I've done one of these. I went out and I bought spoons. So I've got some spoons to do this. So I'll get those out, pop the tire up on there, and we'll see how this goes. So these spoons have different shapes. This one's got a little bit of a hook to it. And then this side here is a little flatter. Just depending on what you need, you would use one end or the other to kind of get things in and help slide the tire under the wheel. All right, let's see if I can embarrass the heck out of myself by trying this. All right, so wheel first up on here. Fish it on there. Grab a spoon. So I'm going to use this hooked piece so I can grab a hold of the hook there. Let me try and get it to go down on there. And if you get one stuck, that's why you got more than one. Get that going there. This guy should come out. If not, sometimes if you take too big of a bite, it will not make things easy. So you want to take smaller bites. See if I can show you what I mean by a bite. So I don't want to try and go here. That's too much because the rubber's here and here. So what I want to do is get this close to that as I can. Get that to go on there like that. And there you have it. That's the first side. So now, it's a little tougher to do the second side because now I've got the rubber of the tire fighting against me, and now there's less vacancy in that center slot because there's now a tire bead in the way. So I've got to finagle with that. So I pull up and then I'll push down. You'll see. Let's take a spoon here, go up, catch edge of the wheel, and we'll start him around. We'll do the same thing over here. And we've got him stuck. That's okay, we got a spare tool. So, how do I want to do this? Let's go over. That's okay. Go around this way. Now, the trick is trying to keep that in place and get this to go. All the time I'm trying to keep this bead so that it'll pop down into that lower spot. I may need my third spoon. Let's go down here. There's that one. Let's see if I get in here. There. See, I'm running up against this. You see this tire here has not set down into that lower part. So I've got to make sure that it goes there. Otherwise I won't have enough room to get this other part going. And there we go. If you do it right, it will continue to pull itself in there and go on its own. But you've got to coerce it a little bit and not bust your knuckles whilst doing it. And having a place to set it on like this is really helpful. Now, what I need is him to go in. I need is a third set of hands. He's still kind of stuck on there. He's right about where he needs to be. Okay. Take a smaller bite. See if we can get that to go like that. Here we go. Make sure one of these doesn't smack me in the head. That part there. There we go. If I can just keep that in there, this all should be good. But now, kind of got too much tire. Oh, there we go. Now to fight. He's got to come around. Stay there. He's got to come around. Go there. Now, let's see if we can get another bite in there. Oh, he's like almost there. The last bit is always the hardest. See if I can spin this around this way so you can see a little bit better. Does that show it? So I've got this last little bit here that I've got to get. If I had it flat, I could just pound on that way, but I don't. So we're going to see if we can sneak. Well, need a bigger hammer. Now, get him in there. Get him up there. There we go. So close. All right. There you have it. Whew. All right, it's a little humid out today. It rained. So I'm sweating like an old guy changing a tire. But anyway, so there you have it. That's the way with manual spoons. I suggest 3. It just helps it out. And having it mounted to something makes it a little bit easier. I don't know if I'd try and do it with it mounted to the car. Typically, in the tire changing shop, you've got a center threaded spindle, a giant thread with a huge wing nut that goes down through like the center here, and that holds the tire and wheel in place, and they got an arm that spins around and does fancy stuff. But with a little ingenuity and a little bit extra time, you too can get a tire mounted on a wheel. It's really not that tough. Just take your time. You could use the large pry bars or screwdrivers, anything. But you saw me, the hook on this is really what made it key and easy, because it wouldn't pop off. When I use the flat end, chances are it'll pop off the wheel for you. And it's just not pretty to get hit in the forehead with one of these things. But anyway, there you have it. All right, so my next step would be to get a valve stem. And that we can do by just pushing in on this. Oh, of course it's seated. I'll probably, I'll have to see if I can buy some valve stems and a valve stem puller tool and get that on. That would probably work. I'd like to be self-sufficient enough to be able to do that, and then I can air it up. And I don't know, when I was busting tires, we did so few trailers. I don't know if these get balanced. I noticed that the tires on the trailer that I have now don't have an outside wheel weight. They, I suppose, could have done them on the inside. I'd have to pull one and see. But if that's the case, then with a trailer wheel, you don't really need any specialized tools or equipment. Anyway, good times. All right, yes, I'm dressed in my work clothes. I just got done working. But I wanted to finish up the video on tire repair, or installing a tire on a rim. So I have these valve stems. They're a little shorter. I ordered these off of Amazon. They're like the shortest you could get. I think the rest of them are mediums, but that's okay. They come in different lengths depending on your application, but this one should work. So let me see if I can get this installed using my handy dandy tool. Basically, you just thread the valve stem onto it and crank it over and pull it in. So let's see how this works. So, first of all, I need to get this pressed over. Did it seal? Uh-oh. Oh, there we go. All right, get that shoved around there. So first things first, we get the valve stem pressed in through here, and the shorter one definitely makes it easy. The one thing you do not want to do is drop this inside the tire as you do this. Get this threaded on here, and once you get it on there, you should be able to just set it here and pull it up. Don't pull too hard, because this is also a valve stem. It's also a valve stem removing tool, so that would pop it all the way off. So next would be for me to air it up, and sometimes you have to air it up a little past the pressure it's needed to get the bead to seat. But I'll move it over there and we'll do that. Okay, well, if you've tried to air it up, like I've tried once or twice, and kind of fuss with it to get the bead to seat, and sweat a little bit in the Florida humidity, sometimes it helps to take the valve core out. So I'm going to try that next. So to get that out, use a valve core tool. Set one in there. We take the valve core out, and then it will let more air flow. The trick to doing this, though, is now it'll deflate fast. So, and this guy. Also, as you're airing the wheel up, you don't want to get your finger between the tire and the bead, because when it pops, it will hurt. All right, finally found a combination that works. I had to find a thread on that would allow me to go without the valve stem in there. So now I can get it to come up. and get the gauge to seat. So that's the front. And the back still needs the seat. Remove the back. Alright, so my trick was I have an air chuck that is actually threaded. That thread happens to be the same size as the valve stems. So I took the valve core out, threaded this on. It makes a nice tight seal, and I was able to get the volume of air in. You're not going to get enough volume to get the bead to set unless you do something like this on some tires. Doing the strap, it wasn't doing it. It was deforming the tire too much. Sometimes on bigger tires that might work, but that is another technique. So once I got the bead set, I was able to remove this. Of course, all the air leaks out because there's no valve stem, but that's or valve core. But that's all right. The bead is still set. So then once all the air escaped, the bead stayed set, and I was able to put the valve core back in, and now I can air the tire up. So let's see how that would work. Side. This one says it needs 60 pounds. Alright, so it is another day. I was getting a little frustrated trying to air up that tire, so it's a little choppy. And it takes some practice, but finding the right tools and actually running through it once, I'm happy I did that, because now I know I've got most of the parts and things that I need, and hopefully some of these things that I learned in my experience in mounting a tire here will help you if you ever need to mount a new tire. I also have bought a rubber grinder and some patches so that if I get a flat on one of my on one of the tires here, particularly the tractor or the trailer, I can repair those easily. Get the tire off, buff the interior of the tire instead of using plugs. Never did like plugs. They tend to pull out, and it's just not a good way to go. But anyway, here is the finished product, mounted and not balanced. It turns out trailers don't really need to have their tires balanced. And as usual, Thor has to make his appearance. You want to be in all my videos, don't you? Anyway, take care. God bless. Good times.